Hello, everyone. Today's IDP Podcast, maybe you may notice from a little different location. We are live here in Cancun from the M-Files Global Partner Conference Impact. Once again, thank you for inviting us here. And today I'm joined by Christian, who's heading the Partner Sales Western Europe. So he's Director, Western Europe Partner General Management, Sales Management. He's since 11 years at M-Files, worked his way up from managing or partner managing the France, Germany, Switzerland. As I read on LinkedIn, you achieved like tremendous better sales revenues on Switzerland, like 1,500% or something, which is very impressive. So I guess he's a really good person to talk to ask what's about in today's document management world, and like what are the trends over the last 10 years, how did document management change, and yeah. So I hope I introduced yourself.
Thank you, Thilo. Thank you for having me here, and it could be worse location to have a discussion about the kind of little bit dusty topic of document management, content management. But yes, really happy to have that episode with you.
So, as you said already, like document management, it's a dusty word. So in the last year, like Gartner tried to rebrand it as like content management platform. Other solutions tried to go for more like an intelligent information management system. So to get like the dust off documents. So what has been your approach at M-Files, like, or what's your stance to document management? Is it boring, or how to not make it boring?
Well, if you're in the industry, then a little bit in that specific industry, then you have seen the trends over the last couple of years, and obviously trends are trends, but also the solutions, they evolve, the requirements they evolve. The last really major macroeconomical impact, of course, ecological impact, was the COVID. So from there, everything became easier in terms of working remotely and so on. But indeed,
also like getting the consciousness into people that remote work is important. Yeah,
exactly. Even especially in Western Europe, and then more precisely in Germany and in Switzerland, it's a big thing. As you eventually know, that working from home is maybe not, or it used to be not the home office. It was not the preferred location to work for many employers. But to go back to the question, so document management as such in the industry, and of course also the different players in the market, have quite a bit changed over the last decade. And indeed, it was document management, which was what we talked about specifically at M-Files 10 years ago. Then it was, before we came to the information management, there was the enterprise content management, ECM, abbreviation, which was promoted by Gartner, by some analysts in Germany as well. They used the terms quite a lot. Then there was...
And I noticed that like at CeBIT, it was suddenly not the DMS hall, it was like the ECM hall, like ECM everything was rebranded to ECM, and yeah.
Absolutely, yes. And the players, they played the game. And then it became the IIM, Intelligent Information Management. And then we talked about the content services platform.
Again, Gartner,
who has this influence, as you said. And then, basically this is how the market has evolved over the last years. But basically it's still around documents. It's still about managing document, everything that is related to documents, processes, and those kind of things. So this is all in the market. It's not that the market has been reinvented, but it's basically that
just the word changed over the years.
Yeah, and it has been growing because there's other kind of components that are part of that as well nowadays. Yeah.
For example?
Well, of course, the artificial intelligence component, that's very important. Now, very recently, ChatGPT, it's a buzzword, but it certainly has also something to do with that. It will influence the way also that people use this kind of intelligent services. It's a risk, it's a threat, but it's also certainly an opportunity. And this is also part of the whole journey that we're taking from now on.
So from, let's say, storing documents with metadata, still like the core of it, but now extending into more modern topics like AI, and so like, I mean, ChatGPT is just one part of it. There's obviously going on like a lot more. There's like AIs out there now to automatically like redact documents, create documents, classify and extract what we are doing. So how do you like tackle that as M-Files? Like, are you investing in these topics yourself, or what's your strategy around that?
If you look at the trends and the analysts, the content management platform or intelligent information management, then obviously the document and data extraction is a part of that. But we have gone down a little bit more to our core business and on core requirements, because we speak about metadata-driven document management or intelligent document management. This is basically what we have, and in this regard, what is more important is that we kind of, how can I say, the management of information that we have with M-Files when the data is already provided. So when you have already extracted the data from the document, when you have kind of analyzed it, pre-classified and so on, this is when M-Files basically kicks in, because that helps, putting it into context, putting it into processes, and then have the whole full document lifecycle covered. So to answer your question, we are looking into that, but we are not investing, or we're not planning to do that, because there's so many good players like Parashift, of course, on the market out there that have done a very good job in that, because you do exactly this part, and then after that, there's the M-Files component, and then you have the output management afterwards. So we are kind of in the middle.
So you have orchestration layers, the one truth, one shop for all the documents really needs, and you want like opening up to all the different players in the market to basically give your end clients the best, always the best tools available, like best of breed, but like you still want to focus on like orchestrating, handling the files correctly, and just like delivering this part of the platform really well.
Yes. So as said, there's so many good solutions out there. Sometimes customers, they already have a solution in place.
Yeah.
So we can, of course, recommend solutions, and we can, of course, also help them with the implementation and so on if needed. But what we basically have is the APIs, the connectors and so on, that help to connect those solutions and kind of feed the data, the extracted data and the scanned documents, for example, and extract the data from there into the system. So that makes it really easy to have like this connector to kind of give this information to M-Files.
So on the Western European market, so if you think now like M-Files as the core product, so what are the typical, let's say, add-ons that a lot of clients rely on? Like I saw HubShare and Ment, and like what sort of tools do clients usually want to extend upon on M-Files or functionality?
So look, Western Europe, of course, is quite a big market. So we can first of all look at or break it down into sub-regions. So we have the German-speaking market, the DACH market, as some call it as well, which is a very solution-oriented market. So the customers, they are less interested or less keen on having a kind of technology or something, but what they want to have a problem solved with the solution. And so the approach is basically that I have this problem, you solve it, and you provide me ideally with the best technology, the best solution out there. And then, of course, we can bundle, for example, Parashift, and you have the M-Files component. And then, depending on the use case and so on, if because you touched on that, if the customer has many clients, if it's, for example, a customer that is in the legal industry, they want to provide data and extract data to different other employees. For example, if it's a legal company that provides the statements on a regular basis and so on, those kind of things, then HubShare is a very good solution as well, because it's for external users. As the name states, it's like a hub. A hub is a possibility to share content, share documents, but it also allows, for example, to external users to upload content as well. That will be then replicated.
The collaboration side of things.
Collaboration, exactly.
So that's one of the popular modules. And did that change over the last years? Like, do you feel, so when I was still out where in the ECM world, like that requirement, we got it quite often that the clients wanted to give external access to the ECM system, but it wasn't like every second project or something. It just sometimes a vendor portal or something they wanted to build up. So did this change?
So then, so definitely it is changing, and it has changed. Yes. The thing is that we have, when you speak about project management, then there is also the transmitter component. When you share in a specific project space certain amount of documents that are grouped together, but you share this, it's not like sharing one or two documents here to collaborate, but it really has this component that you would like to share project-related statements, documents, and so on, milestones, and so on. So transmitted is what it used to be. Now, obviously, if you look into all the Microsoft stack as well, if you look into Office 365, collaboration is definitely the tool, co-author documents, and so on. So this is obviously also part of the collaboration. But what we do, how we understand collaboration, is really that you provide access to the documents with external stakeholders that don't have they don't need to have like internal licenses. They don't need to. It's not like
read only like for external.
Exactly,
whatever,
they're not treated like an internal employee of an organization, but they're basically just also in a timely manner there. And that has been evolved quite a bit. And this also, I think, one of the outputs of the COVID as well.
So
people want immediately have access to that, but they don't want to go to pick up or
or like receive 10 individual links from OneDrive. They want like to have everything in a nicely organized place. I can see that. So is it mainly like lawyers, professional services, consultancies, or is it like also just your normal SME client that's wanting to build up something like a vendor portal or a client portal?
Well, HubShare has the possibility that it is very configurable. So it's very easy to configure a user interface where you can integrate as well widgets. So you can have different kinds of reports and so on. You can very easily have this localized and branded as well for any kind of need. And it is so simple that the user itself is able to do that.
Yeah, but like, while I imagine like if a law company is searching for an ECM, intelligent document man, whatever, like an ECM system, I'm stuck with ECM because that's when I like got out of it, and that's like still in my head. Like, I get it that this is totally a requirement. They'll come to you and say they need this kind of collaboration with their clients and maybe other lawyers and whatnot. So does SMEs also come with this requirement?
Yeah.
Or is it more like you show what's possible and then they realize and then they want it? So
no, well, also those kind of things have evolved quite a bit because it is all about the discovery, first of all. What does the customer really want? So you don't throw like software
everything like
anything at them anymore.
10,000 features drawn in it.
Or basically the standard demos that used to be. You have a customer prospect presentation or demo. You have 1 hour, 90 minutes, and you just show them all the bells and whistles and the features. This is not how it works anymore. So you have to go through a certain discovery,
tailor it to his needs and requirements, and
to capture basically the requirements and so on, and then you kind of prepare in advance, and then you show that you kind of mirror already the requirements and kind of propose different possible solutions for the customer.
Cool. So collaboration, like with HubShare, making information available, like one big topic. So other big topics you realize that came over the last years or got more popular and more clients are asking for?
Yeah, so collaboration is one thing. Then of course, you touched very briefly on that as well. There's Ment as well.
Yeah.
So Ment is a solution that M-Files acquired, or a technology that M-Files acquired just in the beginning of 2023 of this year. And Ment is basically a document automation tool as well. So it's not a data extraction tool.
So not input, but like output management.
It's more output, exactly. And this has been specifically designed for lawyers and so on, who have a lot of
lawyers like a big part of your client base.
Well, M-Files is very strong in the professional services industry, and this has everything from lawyers to consultants and and financial services, financial institutions, and so on. And Ment, so the founders of Ment, who are now part of M-Files, they are lawyers. So they have seen the need, basically, of having the possibility to, with simple clicks, generate contracts and make sure also that the compliance is met. So, because you don't just take an existing agreement and you do copy paste and you adjust it and you forget to change this and that kind of information. So this is not how it should be and how it is. This is already eliminated with M-Files as technology because you can very easily use templates. But here it goes even further because the contract, you kind of have parts of the contract and you kind of build it on a couple of clicks, the contract, the requirements, and so on.
So you can like
builds up.
Put in like, I want these conditions and I want this section and so on. And then I guess also like with versioning and again, the collaboration working together on these contracts.
And it kind of creates the contract automatically, contract automatically out of that information. You choose the language or secondary language. If the main contract is in English, but you are doing business in Germany, for example, then you pick that language and so on. And then it's not only for lawyers anymore or for the professional services industry, because then it is for every organization that has many contracts, many customers. Think about, for example, telecommunication customers potentially that are out there that have, let's say, 10 different types of contracts, but then they have hundreds or thousands of these that they generate that from scratch. And the tool is designed for that. So document automation.
What are you doing with the documents, like other documents or contracts that need to be signed and like changed, and if they come back you can automatically put them at the correct place, and like so a little bit of the input management as well?
So there's different technologies out there in the market, Adobe Sign, DocuSign, just to name two of them.
But then will then be digital signatures, I guess, where it's just like automatic all the way through.
Exactly. So M-Files has it fully embedded. Again, this is not the technology that comes from us, but we kind of embed the one that the customer is looking for, what the customer wants to use, or Scribble as well in Switzerland is one of those solutions as well. So that's the first phase. So you kind of design the contract, it gets approved internally, and then the next step is to send it out to the customer, right?
Okay.
And when this is signed, then yes, it will automatically be stored, the signed version, in M-Files, and there's automatic version control that also kind of indicates how long the contract is valid, when it has to be reviewed, those kind of things, and if there is updates needed and so on. And this is automatically done. And then you also don't have to have an eye on your contracts all the time, because M-Files,
the system has an eye for you on it.
It has notifications, it sends reminders and so on, and you can configure if it's 90 days, if it is 6 months, depending on the contract and the industry, that you have to review a contract, and you get just a notification, and you can make sure. So you don't have to bother with all that anymore. So the technology is there nowadays that helps you to.
So, but that's the contract you create. You obviously, you have full control on all the metadata there, because like you have that metadata to create the contracts in the first place. What about the incoming contracts? So I guess you can use the same suite of tools that you use for the outgoing contracts also for like your contracts with your vendors, because like it's always kind of the same. You need to check, like renew it every 2 years, have reviews, etc.
No, the same. It's very easy to set up the workflow. Or to configure the workflow and then set it up for specific use cases. You can specifically design it to a certain type of document. So let's say incoming contracts, or let's say external contracts, where which are not from your company itself. And you can also then set up the review steps and the review times, and then at the same thing as well, you will receive then notifications and when the contract should be reviewed. But also, for example, before signing it, so you get an external contract for review. And also there's the possibility to have workflows, to have processes in place that allow you to assign it to the right person internally. If that's a lawyer or somebody from legal department or anything that needs to review and validate a certain part of the contract or the full contract, then this is fully automated as well. So you don't need to send emails, you don't need to even if you think about collaboration again, Microsoft Teams as an example, you don't need to send this information, because this is fully automated.
Okay.
The full process.
So I would put this under like, I don't know, observability or management, like keeping track of like it's also like your classical quality management system that has similar properties where you need to have that. So yeah, that obviously, like, I guess this was always like a requirement. I remember back in my days, and this was also always something people wanted to do, but like bringing it into its own product, like for me, it was always a little bit of a hassle. I had to like hack it with metadata and everything. And in the end, you've got a contract management system that worked okay, but like not if you would have like gone out and got like a full suite that is dedicated to this. So that's cool.
Just to finish on that one as well. So of course, obviously, document management solutions that work with metadata fields.
Yeah, they can do this.
They exist for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's really in the contract classification and automation.
Yeah.
So that you kind of eliminate this human error. That is very important.
Again, like for me, I was able to set something up like this, but it was like super hacky. So it was like different document types. Suddenly you need like more or less metadata, and it was always like a little bit of like a big project, you know. It wasn't configuration; it was more like development, specific development for the client. Therefore, it got expensive. Cool. Other topics? So collaboration, observability, or contract management. So where else do you see like progress over the last 10 years?
Well, also then. If you touched very briefly on that on quality management, for example, because I mean some of the features that I mentioned, it's nice to have. You know, you don't have to bother about the contracts and the expiration dates and so on. But obviously, if you are in a very regulated industry, then it's not a question of
pharma and such, or
pharma, life sciences and so on. It's not about do you want to have it, but because you have to be like respecting that, and you have to be basically be compliant with the rules and regulations. So you have to have those kind of things under control.
Yeah.
And M-Files has a full-fledged quality management system solution as well, which can be configured. We have partners. That's why we had the partner conference. Very interesting as well what they are doing. So, for example, there's possibilities that they have fully pre-configured quality management solutions for all kinds of needs. If it is SOP management, really like traditional document management for quality documents, internal QM processes, those kind of things. Those kind of solutions, they exist, and we have been active in the QMS market for, I think, 10 years. But now we can really see that this becomes more and more important as well.
So for me, it was like I did a lot of these classical accounts payable processes, because this is always what the clients wanted to start with. And then, like back in my days, as if I would be like super old, like back when I was like,
the industry changes so quickly. So
like it was always a client we're talking about, like, first I'll start off with that invoice workflow, incoming invoices, and then maybe they'll do an HR archive or like record system. And then they wanted to tackle like more like QMS and all our confirmations. I don't know what, but often like they stopped after the invoice, just because like there was the biggest value, and for everything else it was like kind of a hassle to set up. So what I figure what you're saying is like either M-Files is very good in especially these cases, or like you got the products and the solutions now to you develop them to a degree that it's actually like easy to set up and use. So clients are they still starting with just invoices, or a lot of, they're still starting with invoices and then they...
Very often. So obviously you have big companies that have RFPs and so on, and they look for full solutions, but so
specific for QMS or specific for like that, but the typical SME...
Yeah, SME, they want to start with something, but then it's not, very often they don't really know what they're looking for. Maybe they want to get their processes in place, better controlled, and sometimes it's also so that they really don't know, and that's also the way that consultants work, and you can kind of go there and kind of do this discovery call, if it is remotely, or discovery discussion, because you kind of just ask questions. So there's a certain pain that the customer has, that M-Files or Parashift, of course, as well, can be solved. But then it's not so clear yet. So then you start kind of in the discussion, design a solution proposal and so on, a possibility. and then you start the demo after that, how this particular problem can be solved and so on. But this can be either a specific use case, accounts payable and so on, or this can be a requirement for a specific department. So it can be also HR.
Yeah, but accounts payable is already like often driven from the accounts payable department.
Well,
accounting. It affects the whole organization, but like the primary driver is often accounting, right?
Yes, well, it goes through different departments as well.
Yeah.
Different, right? Depending on the approvals. But then you have an HR solution, for example. You also spoke about the records management, the archiving at the end of the life cycle and so on, this kind of information. But then if you're once in, the customer sees the value and sees that they can do so much more. And then you kind of, we kind of use the term the land and expand kind of approach. So you go in there, and after that, when this first use case has been implemented successfully, then after some time, the journey starts. After some time, you go back to see the customer, and then you kind of start identifying other possible opportunities and use cases. And that's why it's a very scalable approach nowadays.
So in terms of like capture solutions like ours, or intelligent document processing, in the past, we always tried also like with a DMS or workflow, this land and expand it worked, right? You not instantly got the next project, but once they realized the value is there, they could expand.
Exactly.
And with capturing, for me, it was always a little tricky because like the solutions, a lot of the solutions come like with a template for invoices. And then the client said, yeah, now I have that working. I want to expand it to the next document type, order confirmations or contracts, or just his mail room. And there it was always like, it was too complex to set up anything besides invoices, because there was no template. There was like just, you had to start from scratch. So it was like a lot of man days wasted, not wasted, but like just a simple document type configuration took a long time. And I think this is now also changed with for example, system like ours, Parashift, because you can set up like new document types very quickly, and suddenly like the land and expand becomes viable also for capturing, which wasn't there before. So just,
this part, of course, definitely. So, I mean, as you said, this part is very well covered with your technology and so on. And after that, we kind of adopt. So M-Files has the possibility that it's a very flexible system, fully configured and so on, or configurable, basically, not configured, configurable. So that you can look for other use cases, other types of documents, other types of verticals and so on.
How is it like with your clients? Do they start off like getting these first projects from the partner, from consultants, and do they transition to often configure and set up M-Files then also internally in their IT, or is the consulting often still done by an M-Files partner? Because I got my feet wet a little bit in the M-Files administration the last couple of weeks with our connector and so on, and I've got to say, like, to set up just some basic stuff and get it working, but also diving a little deeper, it was rather easy to set that up.
Yeah, so it's mainly about configuration and not customization. So the customer itself can configure the system on its own, but what you need to understand is that it's a platform, so the M-Files technology. So you can also very easily get lost. So we have guidelines and so on, and we have the consultants that we put at hand of the customer. So if they want to do it themselves, that's fine. Either it's it's consultants coming from M-Files or from one of the resellers. Again, we had the partner conference, so we have seen so many different technologies and solutions that partners have developed that is very interesting. But it depends basically if it's obviously a small customer. It can be a financial requirement as well, that they say that we want to acquire the technology and we want to have, for example, accounts payable covered. But then we also would like to put our hands on the solution and so on. And then what we do quite successfully, and in the SaaS world where you don't acquire the technology anymore, but you basically just subscribe to a service, customer success is very important, because once the journey starts not when you get the requirement from the customer, but the journey really starts at the moment when the customer has decided and has started with the subscription of the technology and wants to start working with it, because then the real work starts, because then they want to be accompanied for the journey to be successful in the future. And this is what we do. Again, the IT department, the consultants, they can play with the solution. They can do a lot for themselves. They can also develop full technologies, full solutions based on our technology. And even if they think that this is fine, then they can push this to the live environment at some point. But still, we recommend that either from a partner or then from M-Files directly, a consultant is there to kind of accompany to join the journey.
Yeah. So thank you for the insights. I think like we're at a like good cut. Any final words? Anything you want to add? You want to praise us, for example, Parashift?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, we really appreciate that you made the whole the way to join us here, and we hope that you also.
Yeah, I'm hating it here. Like this is horrible.
It's a horrible destination for sure, and it's really too hot here. So
absolutely.
No, but we really see that also in the document extraction in this kind of business, it's changing a lot, and we really like your approach and your technology, and that's why we also partnered up with you, because we really see a good value in there, and the journey just starts basically. So as I said, one of the major impacts was the COVID and the work from home, and we kind of define it of the new way of work. So we kind of in the future we want to kind of influence that even more, that the work from everywhere, and this is literally from here possibility, that employees can have access to all kinds of information, can work from anywhere. And there's so much to come. We talked about very briefly about AI, artificial intelligence, not going too much into detail, but there's so much to come. So stay tuned, and we thank you very much for the possibility also, or I thank you personally to have the possibility to kind of also share a little bit of the insights. But again, 11 years in this kind of industry is quite long already. But on the other hand, there's so much more to come.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
Yeah,
cool. In that case, Christian, thanks for taking the time being here, and for all our listeners and viewers. I hope you enjoyed this talk. Maybe you also didn't listen to us, but just looked at the waves in the background and imagined yourself here. So if that's the case, I hope you enjoyed that as well. And see you next time. Have a nice one.
Thank you.
Bye.